All right, everybody, welcome back to the I Believe podcast. I'm your host, Danae Peterson, and today I am joined by Chris Donaldson. He is a uveal melanoma patient. And Chris, I am so glad you're here with me today. Thanks for taking the time to be on.
So excited to be here. It's been a long time coming. I feel like we're good friends and we've never met in person.
I know we've had a lot of conversations. I want to say the first time that we came in contact was actually as a result of mutual histotripsy procedures, right? I think that was kind
Yeah,
of one of the first ways that we connected was because of histotripsy sometime last year, maybe.
yeah, Dr. Burns, everyone's favorite.
Small world, guys. Actually, really big world, but we're grateful that we get to connect this way.
Yeah, for sure.
So today, you guys, we're going to be talking about using AI to support your uveal melanoma journey. And I specifically talked to Chris about this because Chris does this in real time. So, Chris, do you want to tell us a little bit more about your journey with uveal melanoma and maybe why you ended up using AI to support you?
Yeah, sure. October 13th, 2022, I went to a regular eye exam. It escalated. That was at like 2 o'clock. So by 5 o'clock, I was at a specialist, told I had UV melanoma. I was alone. I would probably lose my eye in the next day. One of those overwhelming stories that I'm sure everyone has faced. And for me, I graduated from Auburn with an MIS degree, and I've always been a programmer, super technical, super cutting edge technology kind of guy. And there really weren't any answers, especially at that time. That was 3 years ago now. So a lot has happened since then. And the first oncologist I went to, I've been to five oncologists now, and I think two of them, I went, I went to Vanderbilt and they actually said, "You have melanoma in your eye?" And I'm like, I just drove
Like,
four
what?
hours here to Vanderbilt. So, I had brachytherapy. It seemed to have contained it. I am class two, so obviously I was high risk for metastasis. July of 24, I had the first liver metastasis. And since then, I've been on 62 straight rounds of Chemtrack. I've had histotripsy one time, and I've been to Philadelphia, man, a ton of times. I don't know if I ever want to go to Philly again.
Yeah. So, are you able to receive Kimtrack locally now? Just out of curiosity.
I do, yeah, every Monday morning. And the great and the bad there is that my sister-in-law works for my local oncologist. So she's the one that schedules everything, but she also delivers the scan news every time. So
Oh,
it's, it's
that would
one of
be
those weird
complicated.
spots. It is. It's very
Yeah, that'd be a little
complicated.
weird. Okay, so you've been around the block in terms of traveling around the country trying to find good doctors. What was one of the main reasons that you started using AI?
So, just knowing the power of AI, I don't think the general public actually understands that, the internet's sort of trained on everything, and the internet was a huge technological jump, but this is exponentially more. It's trained on everything from the internet. It can train itself. It has logic. It has compassion, and I wanted something to give me answers that I understood. Doctors seem to talk in a code language, and I would get results, and while they would say it means this, or perfect example, one of my lesions was in a bad spot.
Hmm.
I don't know what that means. To be perfectly honest, when this started, I'm not sure I knew where my liver was, on which side of my body. So I thought AI, especially in the beginning, was just something where I could type in, "This is what I have. Tell me about it," and be nice and give me the
Be nice.
positive, give me the positives of what are the statistical outliers and what is the reality and how do I prepare for this? How do I, you know, for my business, for example, I was getting tired and I really couldn't run it, and I'm always a one man show. So lay me out a timeline of when I need to start delegating, when I start get a new CEO, or when I split it. Things that
Hmm.
would help me in life that had to do with ocular melanoma, and tell me what histotripsy does, how it works, explain it like I'm a fifth grader. There's not a lot of that out there, and especially seeing five oncologists and all of them having different opinions. You go to California, it's a different opinion than Philadelphia. So I was so confused, and it breaks my heart that there's a lot of people like us out there that don't have a resource, or that don't have a doctor that's going to go home at night and, on your benefit, look for new trials because they don't deal with this. So that's what AI is really, it's come a long way. It's helped me a ton. It's put things in perspective. It's made me feel a lot better. It's given me hope. And, we're all in the darkness in this at some point. And, I just wish that if this one thing could really give people just a glimmer of hope, it's so powerful.
Yeah, and I remember like the first time you told me about using AI and you were, I think you were asking or I was asking a question and you were like, "Well, do you want me to like plug it into AI for you?" And I was like, "You can do that." And you were like, "Yeah, it's like talking to like 15 doctors all at once because it takes what like normally would be a Google search that you then have to like, pilfer through and you have to pick what's the most effective sources for me to consult here. And it says, "Now we got that. We found all the most effective things that you should look at and the most important things, and we're going to lump them all together and we're going to summarize it. And here's your
Yeah.
sources." And like it links to that. And I mean, so I remember one of the things that you sent me, it links out to like NIH articles and it links out to like publications about different medications or different treatments. And so I mean it was really helpful to break down something that I had absolutely no idea about, in my own medical
Yeah.
journey. And what else did you tell me? You said something like it's not meant to substitute the medical advice you would get from your doctor, but it does give you confidence in understanding like what that
Right.
doctor is
Yeah.
saying to you.
It's not meant to, we're not going to tell you that to take this advice and run with
Yeah,
it and
don't please
not do
don't
what the
take
doctors
this.
do not. However, I have had it create questions for me. So
Oh, love
if
that.
I'm looking, so I'll say, here's what I have. You don't have to give it personal information. You can just be general. Like I have sarcoidosis, so that's a pre-existing. I have TRAIM negative, HLA positive. I've been metastatic for, 60 weeks. Go out and find any trials that I qualify for. And so it'll search the entirety of the internet, come back with them, and then I'll say, okay, give me some questions for my oncologist, my local or my one in Philadelphia, that I can ask them, and some points that I have about why this might work for me. So it just gives you a lot of confidence to have a sheet of paper, and you can go through the, because you get in the doctor, you get nervous and you
Yeah,
forget
absolutely.
what you're going to ask. So to have real research backed up based on you and a little list of questions is super helpful. And then they can think about it and get outside of their box a little bit. So that's been super helpful.
Well, and I think it's important to note too that like you can have this resource, and I guess my question is how much time do you feel like you take? Like if you have a single question, right, that you just asked, these are my parameters or these are my physical qualifiers, what clinical trials are out there right now that I might qualify for, and what are the questions I could ask my doctor? Like roughly how much time does it take for it to spit that information back out to you in like a usable format? Do we want to
Five,
practice? Do you
five,
want to show
five
them?
minutes of it, yeah.
Okay.
No time at all. Yeah, I can share. I set up a few things that I'd already ran just to kind of
Okay.
give some ideas. And the best thing to do with AI is to just talk to it like you would talk to anyone else. I think that works better. And sometimes you can say, hey, ask me questions that I can answer to help you describe this to me. So I just brought up a simple chat GPT. This is the free version. You can just go to chatgpt.com and your screen will pop up with a box that looks sort of like this, like what do you want to know? So I drug my MRI in here. Now you don't have to have a PDF. You don't have to have anything. You could literally take a picture of
I
it
was gonna say I've just
and
taken a picture, like a screenshot of my
yeah,
phone.
and then crop like your information off of it if you don't want that on there. You could preempt this by telling it, the things that you have. Now, ChatGPT will remember. So as long as I'm in this chat, it'll always know everything that I've already told it. So, I get this MRI, it's a bunch of code words and this image shows this, highlight this. And so I just say, what is this MRI saying, and it'll tell me. Here's the multiple bright lesions, but it tells me, there's an indeterminate 1 centimeter lesion. So it puts it in things that I can understand.
Hmm.
And then when I go forward, I'm like, what does this mean for me in my next step? So now it's going to take into consideration everything that I have, and it gives me my next steps, review, continue.
Aura Biosciences is a clinical stage biotechnology company focused on developing precision therapies for solid tumors that aim to preserve organ function. Our lead candidate, Belsar, is currently in late stage development for primary choroidal melanoma and in early stage development in other ocular oncology indications and bladder cancer. Our mission is to grow as an innovative global oncology company that positively transforms the lives of patients. For more information, please visit us at aurabiosciences.com.
It's great to pump everything in here, let it tell you, and it's always in a positive light. Like this doesn't necessarily mean it's failing, but it's a signal to keep a close eye. So that's something I'm going to note. And when I go to the oncologist, I'll
Hmm.
make sure that he explains. And like I said earlier, when my lesion was in a bad spot, it taught me that it was on my, I guess, the IVC, and it was in a weird place so that most treatments wouldn't have hit it. But thankfully, histotripsy did. And then, the deeper you want to take it. So this is another session I started, and I was just wondering about RP2. You and I were talking about that. So I was like, write me a plain language explanation of RP2. So here it is, how it's injected, what it does, and then how it's different from Chemtrack. So just, you know, it puts it in normal language. It gives you a
Yeah.
little more confidence that, yeah, this is a trial. However, this is why it might work. Here's the logic behind why it might work. And for me, I'm super data driven and scientific method type person. So histotripsy made perfect sense to me. I think Hepzato makes perfect sense to me. Everything else is just kind of, yeah, okay, maybe I know if you say
Yeah,
so.
like you got to kind of piece it out and puzzle it out, and it's I love that you're able to take this information and help like use the information to guide your decision making. It's a guide, right? It's a guide to making your own decisions. It's a guide to talking with your doctor, but it also I think is kind of just paving the way for you to be confident in the decisions that you choose and the paths that you choose. I think you and I maybe we talk a lot about mindset just personally, and you guys, like, mindset makes such a big difference. Like if you have the ability to hope for something or to just believe in something that might work for you and just believe that maybe you're going to be the outlier, like that kind of belief, that makes a difference in how you show up to your doctor. That makes a difference in how you
It
show up
does.
to a treatment day. All of those things, they really influence how we are able to kind of experience cancer on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely. The mental side of it, having kids, you and I both do. I think that's the hidden side of cancer that no one sees, that maybe the cruelest part is just what could have been, why is this happening?
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
I battle with it, every day. However, if this is the way it's going to go, then we need to show our kids that we're positive and we can battle and we can beat things. And,
Well,
this has
just
really
yeah.
helped me, lay things out like for my business and my company and when should I start making changes in management and okay, well, maybe I should record some videos for my kids or maybe I should, document my life or talk about things and that's the beauty of AI. Like even in this example, right now it says, would you like me to give you some real trial data to look at, how to prep for enrollment, where are the trial sites, so who to contact. So it's so helpful and you can get so much out of it. Just ask it. Don't be scared to ask it what you want to know. Now, prepared, it will tell you what you want to know if you want
Yeah.
to go down that and get it to make graphs and things like that. But it's the most positive. I really feel like I've gotten a friend, especially planning for the things that bother me and, my grandchildren. I've made them little guitar lessons and bought them little guitars. And AI has been great to give me like a realistic timetable on maybe you should think about these things and maybe they won't happen. Hopefully they won't, but, you know,
Like from a control perspective, right? This is a way of giving yourself control. It's giving yourself control of the planning. It's giving yourself control of how much and what kind of information do you want about your diagnosis. Because if you just say, I have ocular melanoma, and like that's it, you just tell it I have ocular melanoma, like it's just going to say, okay, cool, like this is what I know about ocular melanoma. If it even says anything at all, it might be like, well, what would you like to know about ocular melanoma? And then
yeah,
you get to decide. Like it's not going to, like, okay, do you remember? I guess maybe you guys remember, I've talked a lot about when I first was diagnosed. My doctor gave me the diagnosis of a maybe ocular melanoma tumor and said, I got to send you to another specialist. Please go home, take the weekend. They'll see you next week. But in the meantime, don't Google. And I remember being like, oh my God, like, why would you tell me that? You don't tell the person to not, like, I don't know, pick their scab if you don't actually want them
Yeah.
to pick their scab. Like,
It's
don't
the
draw
first thing you're gonna
attention
do.
to it. It's the first thing your brain wants to do. So what did my brain eventually do? We did Google, indeed. And a Google search for ocular melanoma, I think, has gotten significantly better in the last 5 years. Don't get me wrong, it has gotten better. But it is still pretty scary to just Google ocular melanoma or like, what's the prognosis? Or, what are the treatments? Because when you Google, you get the treatments, but also you get everything else that's related to it. And when you're asking ChatGPT, it sounds like it's really, really precise in answering those questions. Is that a pretty accurate statement?
It is, and it seems to consider you as a person that are asking the question instead of
Mm-hmm.
just the cold facts of Google. And I mean, I'm a search engine optimization pro. That's what I do, and Google. I have feelings about it. It doesn't consider everything, and I think ChatGPT, or I even put up here, you can use grok.com. It's the same, Gemini. There's so many different ones, so whichever one seems to resonate with you. But yeah, Google can be so cold, and it seems to live off of just the bad statistics. It doesn't have, the people that are the outliers that are living their life and enjoying things, because those people usually don't report back, they're just out doing it. And there's so many things that can influence overall survival and effectiveness of things, and mindset is one of them. My sister-in-law working at the oncologist, she sees hundreds of people, and it's factual that the people that come in with the greatest attitude and the most hope, they last longer. It's just, and I think that's ChatGPT will be your best friend. It will give you the most hope. It'll stay realistic, but sometimes you just need someone that you sort of think understands. And,
Yeah.
you and I have each other, and we have a few people in the community. But like I said at the beginning, I feel really bad for a lot of people that just have one doctor, one plan. But if it doesn't work, oh well, that's really difficult. It's so hard to start with. So
Castle Biosciences is a proud sponsor of this I Believe podcast. Castle's innovative uveal melanoma tests provide valuable information about the risk of your eye cancer spreading to help you and your healthcare team individualize the management of your disease. To learn more, visit castlebiosciences.com.
If somebody is wanting to try this, right? They've never used ChatGPT. You mentioned using the free version.
yeah,
Maybe I'm doing this wrong. I use the free version, but does it help to, like, it gives you the option usually when you go to the page, and I think you're currently logged in, right? Do
yeah,
you have like
yeah,
a free account?
yep. I'll
Okay,
even
so
put it on like one of
is
the older
making an
ones.
account important? I guess that's my first question. Even if you're using
Yeah,
the
so
free
you need
version.
you need a Google account, so just a Gmail account. It's super free. You can go to google.com, and let's even look at and just get a Gmail. So there'll be a little
Okay.
thing up here for Gmail, and just get you a free Gmail, and then go to chatgpt.com. It'll ask you to log in with Google, and you log in, and this is what you'll see.
Okay, so then when you log in with Google, then it saves your history because like you're on the very far left side of the screen. You've got
Yeah,
like all the history of the different things that you've asked ChatGPT over time. And it
right,
seems like it when you say it takes you into account, it's taking everything you asked in the history of all of your use of it, especially
right.
around uveal melanoma. Like it's taking that into account.
It is. I mean, and that's the glorious thing is just that it remembers. And when you ask it to go out and look for trials, you're not filtering through clinicaltrials.gov
Mm,
and HLA negative disqualifies you, and so I'm disqualified, or PRAME or something like that. It'll only bring back the things that fit you. So it saves you a lot of time. And, sometimes I get trials like in Australia or whatever that I can never go to, but just to know that things are moving. And, at first I was really upset that we had this rare disease. And now I almost feel like it's a benefit, because if they were to cure a disease, if they were to cure cancer in any form, it would probably be the rare ones first, because we know there's an economic side to this. And I don't feel so bad about it anymore. I actually think a lot of work could be done specifically on ocular melanoma.
Well, Chris, this has been fantastic, and I am actually really excited to see where this goes for more of our patients who might be listening, but also just in the future that we have with the Cure in Sight. we are in the process of like figuring out a way to work an AI portion into the Acure Insight app that we have. If you guys didn't know, we have an app. We'll link that in the show notes. But we do have an app, and we're planning on developing kind of our own version of an AI like OM companion. So obviously that's going to take some time, but hopefully that will be like a really good resource for patients. But in the meantime, like you mentioned, like the free version of ChatGPT is out there. And
Yep.
did you address already like why the free version is actually better in your opinion right now?
Yeah, so ChatGPT 5 came out, I don't know, 2 months ago. And me being a power user, I'm like the top, I'm the 5% of the people that use it in a certain way instead of the 95%. And just in my research, you get ChatGPT 5 when you get the paid version. The older version is 4.0, which I think is immensely better. And it's because um, it's like Pavlov's dog, it's trained to hear that bell. And so ChatGPT 5 wants to give you a quick answer that sounds right and makes you happy. And a lot of times it's wrong. I mean, just straight up wrong. And for my world of programming, I'll tell it all of these specific details and it'll just immediately give me an answer. And the answer's wrong. And 95% of the people in the world wouldn't challenge it, but I
Hmm.
do because I know that it's wrong. And I just think that something has happened at OpenAI where they have prioritized quick, confident sounding answers over going out researching and giving absolute truth. It's
Yeah, I think
which
that's
is a
important to know.
shame. It is for sure. So
Yeah.
when you're
Okay.
prompting it, you can always say, only give me peer-reviewed client testimonies, government sites, things like that, and it'll only give you those sources. But the free version is way better right now, in my opinion.
Okay. So as of right now, October 2025, the free
Right.
version 4.0 ChatGPT is better for the moment. And it's
Yes.
a little more reliable in giving you the
Much more.
information you're looking for sure. Okay. And then I had another question. So you mentioned blocking out personal information. So why would that be important if you've never used ChatGPT before?
Yeah, so I mean, just with anything privacy related and HIPAA related, ChatGPT is trained on the data that comes in. So they're going to look at, not specifically target, hey, look, it's Chris's MRI, but they do train, progressively train on all the data that comes in. So it's not a bad idea to crop your name off or put a block over it, or if you're taking a picture of it, mark out your name and your birthday, or just talk in generalities and just say, I'm this person. Here's how old I am. Here's what I have. And you don't have to give it any of your personal info. But yeah, it's in the public domain once it's on the internet. The internet never forgets.
Yes, that's a good phrase. Well, you guys, I hope that you have found this helpful in listening. And Chris, I guess, is there anything that you would like to share as we end? Just a parting message you would have to somebody who's newly diagnosed with either with metastatic
Yeah.
disease or just with this diagnosis to begin with?
You know, you can't listen to all the statistics. There's so many outliers out there, and you just have to have hope. And just in the last 2 years, we've had things come along that weren't available when you and I were diagnosed. And I've been in the darkness. I know what it feels like. It's terrible, but we can't stay there. It just doesn't help anyone. So have faith that these things are going to work. Do your best that you can on your own. If you're tired, take a nap. It's okay. Don't feel bad. I battle that all the time that I feel like I'm not being productive or I'm not doing anything. But it's okay. It really is. And just because we may not look a certain way or people may not think of us as your typical person with that's struggling, everyone's struggling with something on the inside. If I've learned anything through this whole journey, every person has something that they're struggling with. So keep your head up, battle. Danae's a perfect example. We have friends. I've been going this 3 years, didn't think I would make it 2 years. You know, let's just keep fighting. Let's fight. Let's fight together. Let's be those outliers. Let's break this graph. Let's be up here. Let's get out of that.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love the outliers. Thank you, Chris. Thanks for being here. And just a huge shout out to our sponsors who make this podcast possible: Castle Biosciences, Immunocore, Delcath Systems, and Aura Biosciences. We could not do this without you guys. So thanks for being our sponsors. To our listeners, thanks for listening and subscribing here on YouTube or on the podcast platform that you choose to listen on. Please make sure to check out the YouTube because Chris did share some pretty cool screen shares. So if you want to like kind of see some guidance on what questions could look like, then that's definitely a good resource to use. But in the meantime, we hope you guys have fun. Have fun searching on ChatGPT. Don't just use it for cancer stuff, right? Like use it for other stuff too. It gave me all kinds of ideas for my husband's 40th birthday. Like all kinds of really good ideas for a themed birthday surprise thing that I was doing for him. Like it is great. So have fun with it, but also, I don't know, just use it and be empowered by it like Chris has. He's done such a good job of creating a space for himself that is, reliable and that he feels some level of control over. So anyway, thank you, Chris, for being here.
Thank you.
And we will talk to you guys later.